If you haven't ever used the energy of the moon before, essentially, the most important thing to understand is that the moon goes through a full phase every month. And a lot of this is seventh grade science stuff, right? So every month we have a new moon where you can't see anything. And then we have a full moon where you can see the entire moon. And then it goes back. And that takes slightly less than 30 days. And basically, Earth and our sun and our moon are all traveling in our solar system. And the moon, as it's traveling, is affecting our tides, animal behavior, plant behavior, and human behavior too. And the thing about humans is because we have this cognizant brain, this logic brain, we think we're in control of everything. I think that we tend to think, well, I'm choosing how I feel today. And we do have so much power to be able to choose our own thoughts, to be able to influence our own energy, but we don't live in a vacuum. We live within a solar system. And so it doesn't take mysticism in order to understand that we're being affected by the other planets, by the moon, which is the closest thing to us, right? So, traditionally, for thousands of years, people have used the energy of the moon when they're planting their crops. They would plant crops on a new moon, understanding that that was very important for the germination process. And then the full moon represents harvest. So you would harvest during a full moon and plant during a new moon. And even throughout the years, all of the different moons have different names, like the harvest moon, right? So that they were actually timing their life to the things that they could see and understand before we had this clock that's based in one time in the world and everyone's times are based on that. And so when we're planting the seeds of a new goal, of a new life change, we can use that same pattern and plant those seeds, set those intentions on a new moon. And then the full moon is the time of harvest, which is a time to look around and see what have I accomplished? What did I get done in these past 15 days? And also a time of releasing, a time where the moon is as big as possible and it's going to decrease and decrease and decrease in size until we get back to the new moon. And so that decreasing is a time to let go of whatever is not serving you. I need to make smaller these things that are not serving me in life. Therefore, I can make more room for the new things that I'm going to bring in. And so during each of those times, we have a different set of actions that we can take, a different ceremony that we can do, different things that we can journal about. And we're about to tomorrow hit a full moon. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. So during the full moon, we have this chance for seeing what we've accomplished, which is gratitude, focusing on the positives and decreasing the negatives, letting go of things that are no longer serving us. So many times, what's holding us back is that we're holding on to things from our past and not letting them go. We think it's that we're not good at goal setting. We think it's that we're not good at motivation. We think it's that we're not good at follow through. But from my personal experience and in working with a lot of my clients, it's really that our brain is stuck in this past gear or that it's overwhelmed with all these things that we're thinking about. We don't know how to let go so that we can grow, right? So during the full moon, releasing what no longer serves, literally doing a burn ceremony where you take some sage and you smudge your room, right? Or where you write down everything you're letting go of and you burn that piece of paper. So we are physically and psychologically releasing that way for the next 15 days before we get to that new moon. We can finish accomplishing those goals lighter, less overwhelmed, not holding on to anything that doesn't serve anymore. Then when we get to the new moon, we can set a new intention and we can base that just on whatever we happen to have going on in life. You can also look at what's going on in the rest of the universe. You can look at the other planets. You can look at Mercury, are we in retrograde, all that kind of good stuff. And you can base your type of goals on the rest of the universe, or you can just go with, well, what is the most important thing to me and how am I going to accomplish this? And you have to set those intentions and then immediately put them into action, just like you would if you're planting a seed and watering that seed, right? They don't plant the seeds and then forget about it. They plant the seeds and then they care for their crops. And you have to care for your goals just like you would if you're planting a physical plant. And that cycle just continues and continues. And so that is something that I do. I time my life based more on the moon than I do the calendar. May, June, July, August doesn't have anything to do necessarily with where the moon is. And it's just easier for me to be aware of my own energy and aware of how my goals are going if I base it on the moon and use its energy to help me instead of trying to ignore that that's a factor in my life. If you pay attention and start tracking it, you will see your energy shifts at different times of the month. We know we have a 28-day cycle or something around that. You're more emotional thinking at different times. You have higher energy, lower energy, all based on the hormones that are flowing through our body. And so the same thing is true of the moon cycle, but it's a step removed. It's not inside of our body, right? So how do you get started with getting in line with the moon phases is actually just very simple. Pick a moon, whichever one you happen to be nearest to, right? So pick the full moon or the new moon and pick a practice that works for you. So I have one that I have developed over years of practicing this way. And I do a meditation using my crystals and essential oils. And then I have some journaling kind of creative practices that I do to help me to realize what it is I need to let go. And then on the new moon to help me realize not just on a like, I want a new car or I want to make this much money or I will lose this much weight, but on an energetic level, how do I want to feel? I'm looking for peace or joy. And then tying that emotion into the physical goal. Why do I have this physical goal? Because I believe it will bring me joy. And using both of those as a goal to set intentions around. And so I actually have a guided practice that I lead people in. You can purchase the replays with all of the information and the explanation and how to do it and step by step on my website. And you can purchase them separately or together, save a little bit by getting the bundle. I also have on my YouTube channel videos on the crystals for each moon and a free download. If people prefer just to go through it themselves, there's that option as well. And so you can create whatever works for you, your own thing, or you can just let me guide you through it. But it's mostly about setting aside time, like an hour of time on that full or new moon, thinking about intention setting, thinking about releasing, and fully devoting yourself to that moment without, people like the phone ringing, people asking you for things, answering emails, even giving yourself like 2 hours a month that's just for you and your goals. Just imagine how powerful that is, right? Then tie that in with the energy of the moon. Now we're getting somewhere. And the other thing that I do between those days is to use my daily manifesting journal. And I check in every morning. I am grateful for, my focus is, and how did today go? So that it's not just 2 days that I'm giving myself that time, but it's every single day that I'm giving myself a few minutes to really refocus and make sure that I understand what my energy is, I understand what my focus is, and that I'm doing that with intention. And so the more we're in tune with what's going on in the world around us, in the universe around us, the more we can manifest with ease because we're not trying to work against the universe, right? We're not trying to work against the environment in which we find ourselves because we have so much control, but we are also always interacting with the energies around us. So just if you want life to be easier, get in alignment, get with the program. Don't try to work against it.